Live from our cryptid camper, I'm Shay, and I'm here with my good friend Tom, and we'd like to thank you for joining us for Season 1, Episode 24 of Scare Your Pants Off, our American road trip. In today's episode, we're setting up camp in California. How you doing today, Tom?
I am great. I am really good. Had a lot of fun doing the research on California. How are you today?
I'm also really good, actually. Same thing. I had so much fun researching California. I feel like there are some states where we have difficulty because there's not a lot. I had the exact opposite problem with the haunting this time. It was so many things to choose from.
Yeah, same with the cryptids. It was lists upon lists upon lists of it, just and really cool ones, and it was just like, yeah, it's nice when you have that opposite problem when there's too much. Because it makes it a lot of fun. So what's new?
Nothing much really. It's so for anybody listening, we're getting close to wrapping up season 1. We have 2 more episodes, and so I'm very much in. I mean, I'm always in horror movie mode, but now like I guess it's like an extra thought in my mind as opposed to always being on my mind, anyways. But I'm looking ahead at like some horror movies, and Black Phone is almost out, or maybe it is out. But I can't friggin' wait to see that. And did I tell you that is it Willem Dafoe is gonna actually be playing Nosferatu in a remake?
You told me that is awesome.
Yeah.
I love Willem Dafoe, and perfect. He's just got those. He's a good-looking man. I'm not saying
he is.
His features are kind of creepy.
Specific looking. Yeah, he is. He's very, but he's like a dark handsome almost. But he's very unique, and he has like I am so excited to see this happen again because this came out in 1922, so this will be like the 100-year anniversary, and it's that story just deserves so much more than it was able to have, and I'm super excited.
And Willem Dafoe was in that Shadow of the Vampire, I believe it was called, which was kind of about the making of Nosferatu and the actor that played Nosferatu, and whether or not he was actually a real vampire. And that'll be good. There's a lot of horror. I think some new horror movies may have dropped on like Hulu as well, like some Blumhouse ones. Which are always good because a lot of them don't go into theaters and stuff, but they're good. A lot of them are really good. They're just like they're kind of cheaply made, and I don't mean they look cheesy, but it's they're not a high budget films. So
but some of those are honestly end up being it sticks with you. Some of them, like you find yourself like, oh, it's gonna be an okay movie. I'll give it a watch, and then you find yourself like a couple days later, like, oh.
Yeah,
that was messed up.
Yeah, I know. So it's like I rewatched Sleepaway Camp from 1983, and it's a classic, horror film. But oh man, it's been a while since I watched it. I forgot how it was made in 83, 84. Forgot how 80s it was, and I forgot how bad our fashion in the 80s were.
Oh my word, yeah.
Oh man, men with Daisy Dukes and just the knee socks and it was
there was a lot of man leg back then, so much man leg. It's funny, so I don't know if I've ever told you, speaking of man leg for a second, so I talk in my sleep sometimes, and it's not super common. It usually happens like I have to be like really exhausted and just I'm out. But Eric thinks it's the funnest thing that's ever happened in life because I guess like I will respond to you, and I don't remember any of this, but I guess I will respond in a way to you. But it usually starts out, I guess I'll be laughing, and then or just chuckling about something, and man legs made me think of it. This was years ago now, and one of the first experiences he had with my bizarre ass sleep talking is I started laughing. And this is him explaining it to me because again, I don't really remember this, but I guess he asked he's like, are you okay, or what's going on, or something like that. And then I said something along the lines of, he looks so stupid. He's like, so then he asked me like, who looks stupid? Why? What's happening? And then I said something along the lines of, like he's trying to row the boat by himself. And then he's like, what? And then I said something along the lines of, well, now I know why basketball players wear such long shorts now. So obviously I know where you think your mind's gonna go, and that's not where that's not where my mind was. But then I commented on the fact that they wear long shorts now because Larry Bird's knees look so stupid. And that he was apparently in my head, in my dream or whatever, I was thinking he was trying to row a boat and going in circles or something. I have absolutely gotten up off the couch after falling asleep, being asleep, and looking for a proverbial meatball that I lost, and it rolled onto the. I constantly, yeah. So I don't like. I totally imagine things happening in my head, and they are apparently very funny. And Eric has a ton of stories. So one of the times you're over, like I'll have him tell you some of them. But the Larry Bird knees popped into my head. That was pretty funny.
That is amazing, and I love you said it because I wear shorts that cover my knees. I'm a proponent of men don't show their knees because nope. I have knobby knees. I do, and it's like it's funny. I was out, last summer out on the West Coast with a friend. She lives out there, and I was gonna buy this pair of shorts, and I found the longer ones that would cover my knees, but she had seen them, but she saw the shorter one, and she was like, "You are going to show your knees in a pair of." I was like, "Oh no! Men don't show their knees. I found a longer pair. Yeah,
because there's almost like a like a chin and a beard thing that goes on with like the leg hair. It's I can't apparently. I agree. Men don't show their knees. And if you do, I mean, good for you. It's a lot. It's a lot of leg.
A lot of leg. A lot of man leg. That's hilarious. Yeah. That's hilarious. Well, this week I had the cryptids, and man, it was fun. This was a lot of fun. Like I said, there were so many to choose from, and so there's this list upon list. So I was like, I was going for one that I'm hoping you didn't hear of, because that became it, because there was so many. I was like, and I'm sure she's heard of a bunch of them. I'm gonna try to find one that maybe she hasn't heard of. But I could have chose from, like I said, they have Bigfoot, they have chupacabras, they have all sorts of water beasts like the Cadborosaurus, the Tahoe Tessie, Bear Lake. There's the ghost deer, which is really cool. The cactus cat, which was another cool one that walks around getting drunk on cactus juice. The hog bear, the lone pine mountain devil. But what I found, because of the way of the description of the body, plus a picture I saw, plus just there's a lot. I think you'll see why I picked this. I think. Have you heard of the Central American wind tosser?
Nope. No. Okay. Good job. You absolutely found one I've never heard of. Okay. I'm excited.
And for anybody out there, the wind tosser is spelled WHINTOSSER. If you want to do your own research or look for a picture. And after I describe it, guys, and everything, if you guys want to send in a picture of what you think it kind of looks like, please do, because this thing is kind of wild looking, and we'd love to see your submissions. And we'll put it up on an episode. We'll talk about it on a future episode, because this thing is wild. So the Central American wind tosser is a beast originating from the oral traditions of turn-of-the-century American pioneers. First encountered in the coastal region of California near the Mad River, it is believed to have migrated north from the Isthmus of Panama, hence the Central American part of its name. They believe it came from Panama. It is a relatively small creature, but it makes up for it with its ferocious temperament, and this ferocious temperament is the reason that it is so feared. So it is said to have a triangular tubular body. So make that what you will. Triangular tubular body.
Almost like an ice cream cone. Would that be an ice cream cone?
Kind of. Yeah.
That's,
a little bit.
I like it. Okay.
That's actually a great description. It has 3 sets of legs for 12 total. Some descriptions have said 10, but almost most of them say 12. And these sets of legs are arranged equidistantly around its body. And these legs enable it to survive more easily in earthquake country. And that's because whenever one is knocked from its feet, no matter what, it will land on another set of feet. I mean, on a wall, on a ceiling. It just always, kind of like cats supposedly always land on their feet. This, because it has 12 legs. So it is covered in a coat of bristly fur. So kind of think like a porcupine almost. So it's a bristly fur, but it slants forward. Instead of on a porcupine, their bristles kind of look like they're slanting back. On this, it slants forward. Both its head and its short tail are mounted on swivel joints. And this makes it so it's capable of spinning its head and its tail at a rate of 100 revolutions per minute. Just kind of spinning around because it's a swivel joint.
Like a helicopter, almost like it's going to take off or something.
Yeah, that's another great description. Yeah, like exactly. And 100 RPMs, that's pretty high. That's a lot. So, it is also said to be very durable, able to survive attacks and injuries that would kill most other animals. They are a predatory beast that are well suited for hunting. Said to be completely uncontrollable, acting as agents of chaos and terror. In combat, it is a blur of motion, attacking multiple foes at once, their claws and teeth slicing through their prey like butter. They can supposedly, their teeth can slice through steel, and it like the steel is like a piece of cheese. It slices so easily. Their battleground or hunting grounds are said to be littered with the corpses of its prey. And this is because, again, being an agent of chaos and terror, I love that description, it kills way more than it can actually eat. They are said to be very hard to kill. If you shoot it, club it, or really do almost anything to it, it doesn't have much of an effect. It will just sort of thrash around, scream, spin its head and tail just really fastly, and the scream's supposed to be just ear-piercing, like just awful scream. So the only known way to kill the Central American wind tosser is to capture it in like a small flume pipe, a log, a chimney, some sort of small tubular enclosement like that. And that's because when it gets in a tight area like that, now all 3 sets of legs, so all 12 of them, end up touching a surface. And if all 3 touch a surface at the same time, it tries to walk in all 3 directions. And when this happens, because the way it is, so it's in this pipe, it ends up ripping itself apart when it gets into a pipe, because it tries to walk in all 3 directions at such a high rate, and it gets so worked up that yes, it rips itself apart.
That's awesome. So that's actually it's super morbid, but really fun to picture if you think about it. Like it's almost like, well, not quartering because it would be in 3s, but that's crazy. I like it.
That was a big selling point for me. Aside from the description of it being so strange looking, I was like, wow, that's wild. And that's essentially it. I mean, there's been there's not a ton of sightings of it, but there's been sporadic sightings for, about 125 years now. And yeah, that's the Central American wind tosser.
I love the age of it because I almost feel I feel like it adds a validity to it that like some of the newer ones maybe don't have it. This has been going on for forever, and I really I love the ones that date back that far. I just love it.
Yeah. I had fun with it. Like I said, guys, if you guys want to send in any pictures, submissions like that, because I'd love to see what everybody's thinking this might look like. Or if you're not really an artist, but you're curious, there are, you do a Google search, you can find some articles and stuff on it where they have sort of like what they think it might look like. Because this thing is just wild.
It's funny because I'm trying to picture the placement of the legs. So I'm picturing, so it's triangular and a tube, so it's ice cream cone-ish. I'm picturing in my head, so that I'm picturing the narrow part being the bottom, but it's funny. I'm trying to picture the placement of the legs. Like, are the bottom four absolutely are there absolutely bottom four that are one set? Are there four at the bottom that are the start of a set and they're going up, or are they? It's so funny to try to picture.
Yeah.
Where these legs are, and it's kind of neat.
12 legs, so 3 sets on each side. Even the description, it shows it. Or you can find some pictures of what people kind of think. But yeah, it is wild to think about, because it's a small creature too, so that's a lot of leg. It's like, so yeah. It's I had never heard of it, and yeah, that was a lot of fun. Calvin, that was fun.
That's awesome. No, I like it. Good job. You have anything else for me on the cryptid?
No, that's it on the cryptid today.
Okay, so I'm super excited about my hunt, and I'm gonna tell you that I legitimately got to a point where I had to write down the ones that I was down to, crumple them up, and then put them in a hat and pick. Because I couldn't. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and then I was like, oh, but so I absolutely had to leave it to chance, and yeah. So it's funny because a lot of states we actually end up having the other problem, same problem, but in a different direction. There's just not a ton to choose from, but it's too much, but like in a great way. Like, it's amazing, and I'd love to go there someday and just exhaust myself in visiting everything I can possibly visit. But I could have chosen the Battery Point Lighthouse, which is amazing. It's a great story. If you have time, you have free time, really look any of these up, because they're all so interesting. Alcatraz, of course, the Hotel del Coronado, or even the Winchester House, which, I'm not gonna lie, was almost what I picked.
Nice.
But then I was like, no, I can't. After all the hair pulling, finally, I picked the Whaley House. Have you ever heard of that?
I have not. No. Ooh, that's nice.
So most of the story is actually the history of it, but the history makes you understand the haunting. So this house was originally built in 1857 in San Diego, California. I'll give you a little backstory. Thomas Whaley was number 7 of 10 children in his family, very Scotch-Irish family, born on October 5th of 1823. January 1st of 1849, at about 25 years old, he up and left New York and found himself in San Francisco. And he found himself smack in the middle of the California gold rush. He'd partake in some business excursions until 1851.
Okay.
In September of 1851, he moved to San Diego. He would remain there for about 2 more years, conduct business, which is funny because when I'm reading about Thomas Whaley, there's no specific business that he's conducting. It's just he's conducting business, which is kind of funny. After that time, he actually found himself moving back to New York near his family. By August 14th of 1853, though, he would be married to Anna Eloise Delaunay. And I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but it's Delauney. And in December of 1853, they'd actually moved back to San Diego. So he, that's where his home was. That's where he felt like he needed to be. So they moved back there, and they built the house now known as the Whaley House. And it was completed and lived in by August 22nd of 1857. So Thomas and Anna would go on to have 6 children. They would have Francis Hilton, Thomas Jr., Anna Amelia. I don't know what I'm saying. Edit that. Anna Amelia, George Hay, Violet Eloise, and Corinne Lillian. So 6 children. That's a lot of kids. That's
a lot of kids.
So for reference, just so you know, Francis is actually named after one of Thomas's business partners. So you can tell they obviously had a pretty decent relationship. Why would you name your child after someone you hated? So at 18 months old, their second born, Thomas Whaley Jr., would actually pass away from scarlet fever in the house. So, yeah. The house, just for frame of reference, was multiple other things too. So while it was a house, it also acted as other things, one of which was a general type store. And around the time of the death of their 18-month-old son, that actually also caught fire. And it was destroyed. So yeah, Thomas and Anna, needing to be away from the situation, away from the house, sold the house and moved to San Francisco. In 1868, Thomas and Anna would actually repurchase the house. It was part of them, and they wanted to live there again, and they did. So in 1882, Violet Eloise and Anna Amelia were both set to be wed, and they would both be married in the house. Violet would marry a man named George, and Anna would actually marry her first cousin named John, which was not abnormal back then. So
should have been. That first is close.
Yeah, that's sibling, really. Yeah. I have half siblings that I'm as related to some of my first cousins too. So
that's like even thirds too much, but at first is way too much. So
it's I agree 100%. If it's a little sketchy, but I guess different times, right? So not long after the weddings, George, which was Violet's husband, would come clean to her about some proverbial skeletons he had been keeping hidden in his closet. And he still loved Violet very much, and she still loved him very much. So he tried very, very hard to prove his worthiness to Violet's parents. But for them, he wasn't worthy, and they severed all ties. And back then, that's law, that's rule.
Yeah.
Violet would become unable to cope with this because George was absolutely the love of her life. With Thomas's own .32 caliber, on August 19th of 1885, she would take her own life at the age of 22. So that is 2 of the Whaley children dying in this house.
Yeah.
So, in her suicide note, there was a passage, and I'm going to bring this up because it's actually quite a beautiful poem. But it's a passage from a poem by Thomas Hood called The Bridge of Sighs. And something that adds to the beauty of this poem really is that Edgar Allan Poe actually regarded this poem as painting with words. And it's as such a master of the craft that he was. That speaks volume for the actual beauty of this poem. But the passage that she wrote in her note was mad from life's history, swift to death's misery, glad to be hurled anywhere, anywhere out of this world. And it's again, it's by Thomas Hood, and it's called Bridge of Sighs, and it's absolutely beautiful. So if you're into poetry, look it up, give it a read. It's gorgeous. So at this time of Violet's death, the youngest Corinne was actually also engaged, but it was broken off because of everything going on, and it just wasn't, they didn't feel it was the right time, and it would be maybe too controversial. So now you've had weddings, deaths, engagements, breakups. You've had all these just dark and same time beautiful and happy things happen in a house. So it's already, you can already kind of see why the history of this house becomes haunted.
Yeah, it's high highs, low lows of just the whole gamut or spectrum of emotions right there. Yeah.
Well, after so much darkness, Thomas would buy a different home in San Diego, but he wouldn't sell it this time. The Whaley house would then be left vacant for over 20 years. On December 14th of 1890, Thomas would pass away. And on December 12th of 1905, his daughter Anna would pass away. So I'm bringing them up because they do not die in the Whaley house.
Mm-hmm.
In 1909, the eldest son, Francis, would restore the Whaley house, and he made it a tourist attraction. He would actually play guitar and sing to entertain guests.
Oh.
And I'm going to tell you a couple other things that this house was. So like I said, it doubled as a house and other things.
Okay.
So this house was also it was a county courthouse and a theater. And the theater itself could hold 150 guests. So this is, I'm just picturing it. It's massive, and it's clearly had so much life, visitors between the tourists and the courthouse and just everything. It's a constant flow of people in and out of this house, and it's amazing. So the mother, Anna, would die at 80 years old on February 24th of 1913 in the house, and Francis would pass away a year later, and that's their eldest, who would also die in the house. George Hay would die on January 5th of 1928, not in the house, and Corinne Lillian Whaley would remain in the home until 1953 when she would pass away. So more than half of this family died in some way in this house, and it's possible that some spouses of the children also died in the house, but I actually couldn't find anything 100% saying that's what happened, but that's what I was kind of led to believe. So enough with the backstory. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about the hauntings, because obviously the backstory was kind of long, but the hauntings are really cool to go a little bit short. In 2005, the Whaley house was actually deemed by Life magazine to be the most haunted house in America.
Wow.
Yep. So, and you can see why. You go back and you look, and it's just so much of every possible emotion, every possible everything. And it's commonly said that the Whaley family surely still resides there. Anna and Thomas have been spotted on numerous occasions in different rooms, wandering the halls. You can see them out windows sometimes, or looking up into windows. You can hear Francis's guitar sometimes. Constant footsteps, constant just chattering. It's said that you can hear Violet weeping. And Violet's the one that ended up taking her own life with her father's gun. I also think it's possible that you might hear Anna crying, or really any of them, because of the huge amount of loss in this house. So the weeping could be really anybody. Now, like I said, there's your typical footsteps and stuff like that, but there's a particular set of footsteps that's very heavy and like stomps through the house. and they're thought to be that of Yankee Jim Robinson, who in the courthouse was found guilty of stealing a boat, and he was hung for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
What, like,
yeah, stealing a boat. That's all it said. I mean, it could have been more to that, but I couldn't find anything more to that. And if that was kind of crazy.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
But that's all I have for the haunting. But I absolutely love the history of the house because it's so much, and you don't a lot of times find that much depth in the history.
I love it. It's great. It makes total sense. I mean, the history is the story, which I love, because history is just fascinating to me. It makes sense why it would be. Like I said earlier, you got high highs, low lows. You have engagements, weddings, the birth of children, which are just these really joyous sort of things. But then you have death, suicide, which we know is like, leaves some bad energy. Stuff like it just, so it makes 100% sense to me why this place would have a lot going on. There's just so much leftover energy like that. So, I mean, like more than half of the family, I'm trying to almost keep up like with that. And then let's not even talk about the fact that people that are hung on the property, stuff like that, when it's the courthouse or whatever. So I mean, it's a lot of death. It's a lot of death on there. But great story. I'd never heard of it. Yeah, I would love to check that out at some time.
Same.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, no, good job. That was yeah. Makes total sense. I was just like, I'm trying to look down my notes. It just, made a lot of history in that house. So very cool. Nice. Well, this week, do we have anything else before?
No, I think that's it. I'm actually really excited for your strange encounter because I have one of my favorite cryptids is from California, and it could really be both. So I've been kind of holding my breath and waiting to see if it's something that you touch on.
So I had the strange encounters, and there's a lot going on in California, and especially up in the northwestern part of the state. It's weed country up there too, but just a lot of stuff going on. But so there was a lot to choose from, but then I found two, and now that you say it, you probably it's probably one of the two that you're talking about. But I kind of narrowed it down to, and either of the two could be alien or cryptid, depending. I could see the argument for both. And one was the Dark Watchers of California, which I could see argument for both on them. But I felt like it was a little more alien. And then this other one that I chose is the Fresno Alien, aka the Fresno Nightcrawler. Have you heard of it?
Okay. I have. I absolutely love it, and it's funny because it's if it were me, I would have done it cryptid.
Yeah.
But I 100,000% know why you did it alien. And it's funny, and that's why I waited. I was like, okay, you didn't pick it as a cryptid. I feel like because it really is. It's one of the rare occasions where it's like dead center, right down the line. It could be anything.
Yes, and that's how I thought. So that you are, just jump in if I miss anything, if I misspeak or anything, just jump in at any point then, because you may know it better than myself. But like I said, I could see either way on this. So the Fresno Alien, aka the Fresno Nightcrawler. Sightings first started in the 1990s. Described, I love those, as short, humanoid, walking pants, because it's got really it's got long legs, of like a short torso, no arms. It's pale. It's got small beady eyes, and I'll get more into it afterwards. But I just love that description as short humanoid walking pants because it looks like it is wearing a robe or pants or something like that.
Yeah.
It looks like it's wearing clothing almost, and that's another reason for me that I went a little more alien, even though it may not be clothes at all. It might be whatever. It just that's what I saw in the videos and still images that I found. So the sightings were sporadic and few and far between until about 2007. Then in 2007, a homeowner who I'll call Jose because he's asked to stay anonymous. The family would like to stay anonymous, which gives even more validation to the story for me that they don't want any sort of publicity for it. So in 2007, homeowner Jose in Fresno, California, set up security cameras around his yard and above his garage. He did this because he wanted to know why his dogs were barking and just going crazy at night, like, you know, for hours on hours at night, just going insane, barking. He assumed it was some sort of wild animal, you know, hoping it's not some sort of, you know, somebody lurking on his property, like a person, a burglar. But he assumed it was a wild animal. But after reviewing the videos in the morning, the footage showed a pair of small creatures, only a few feet tall, walking surreally across the yard. And by surreally, it was like it's a weird sort of disjointed walk that they were doing. It's like where it's almost like as they walk, the hips kind of turn with the legs, but
almost like a cartoony quality to it.
Yeah,
if you think about it, yeah.
That's actually great. I hadn't thought of that, but that's perfect, like a cartoony type thing. So obviously he's freaked out. It's like, what the hell? They have no arms, you know, small little beady eyes. He calls the police, and the police, you know, come over and he shows them the tape. And after watching it, neither the police or the family could figure out what they are. They had no idea. So yeah, so that was that. And then so we'll get into it. So one theory was that it is some sort of alien. It's alien in nature or something like that. But deterrence from people detracting from that, and these are good points. How come there's no ship around? Nothing like that. They never come along with like other sightings of a ship or something in the sky. It's just them. And then and there's no recorded, nobody's claiming to be abducted in the area or nothing like that. So there's no sort of all those other sort of peripheral things that come along with with aliens. So I can see that, you know, that without that, I can see why people would maybe not think it's alien. Another theory is it's a cryptid, which I can totally see the argument for that. You know, and then another theory, and I guess it kind of goes along with it being a cryptid, is that it's steeped in Native American folklore. And according to tribe members of this tribe, I couldn't find the name of the tribe, but the tribe's located sort of in the Fresno, California area and the surrounding areas around it. That these, according to the legend, these creatures, that they call night crawlers, have always lived on Earth, well before humans. And according to the legend, the reason they have those long legs that I was talking about, with the short torso, is so that they can move through the difficult, swampy, boggy landscapes, because they are supposedly swamp world beings. That's their native habitat. The legend continues that the beings are part of our world now in order to help us repair and rebuild our connection with our natural surroundings and nature, and so very very Native American in that they're like sort of like a peace bringer between us and in nature and in our surroundings. So I kind of like that. It just had a nice feel to it. But so in March of 2011, Yosemite National Park officials were put up cameras around the park in an attempt to catch trespassers and vandals. But instead, they captured footage and images of a pale, small, and armless creature with long legs walking down one of the park paths. So no idea what it was, and then somebody reviewing it remembered, oh, wait a minute, I think I saw something like that on YouTube or whatever. So they compared it, and then the general consensus became that it's probably it's the same thing that was whatever in that Fresno video from 2007. So what are they really? Again, because like I said, I lean more towards aliens. Some people say cryptid, others say it's a complete hoax. It's some sort of like puppeteering like going on.
Yeah.
But for that, again, I go back to the family just wanting to stay anonymous. You know, and then the other one was at a park, you know, Yosemite National Park. Like, why are they gonna make something up? They were trying to catch vandals and trespassers. But you never know. But I mean, everybody agrees on what they look like because it has been on tape. Again, I have a description. They're armless, pale, in color. They're probably white, but it's tough because some of these the videos like black and white because it's security footage. But they're probably white. They're slender on the shorter side. They're usually no taller than 4 feet. Although a later spotting in Indiana, a guy claimed it was maybe about 6 feet tall. They have their long legs, they're very short, small torso, two small sort of beady eyes that kind of look like they're almost floating within the head. They're bipedal. Another reason it felt alien to me, even though I know there's bipedal, a lot of cryptids are bipedal. I don't know. The no arms. And really, for me, with the aliens, it does look like they're wearing a robe or pants or something like that. So, like, the clothing made me think, makes me think more alien. And this is kind of interesting. They also travel in pairs, with one usually being smaller than the other. So some have speculated that the smaller one in the pair may be an offspring, a child, something of the larger one, or even possibly a mate. So it's a different sex, it's a female sex, or if whatever their sexes are. And then interestingly, I saw it was they seem to have no interest in making actual like physical human contact. They keep to themselves.
I get that. We shoot at them. We shoot at everything. So I get that. I wouldn't want to either.
That's a good point. I've seen that through 25 episodes, how common, or 24, how common it is just for the people to open fire. I don't know what that is, so let's shoot it. So just a little bit more. There's been so there's never been like an in-person close encounter. Only on security tapes. And this I found this to be interesting. So the videos and images of the creatures have been examined by an array of different experts, different paranormal shows, analysts, just a bunch of different people have examined it. They're trying to, prove it's a hoax or whatever, that these people faked it. And not one of these experts or analysts can conclusively say that any of the videos or images are a hoax. There's nothing that they can find to that. And just real quick, like I said, there was a sighting, I think it was like 2013, 2014 time, in Indiana, a gentleman driving down the road, sort of off the side of the road, but it was much taller. Like I said, he said it was about 6 feet tall, and to my understanding, it was by itself. It wasn't traveling in a pair. So And that is what I have for the Fresno alien, aka Nightcrawler.
So you touched on everything. That was awesome. Great job. But it's funny. Do you know what I picture when I think of the Fresno Nightcrawler? And it's totally stupid, but do you know what I picture?
What's that?
Like wiggly leg teeth. I don't know why I feel like there's teeth with like just like these wiggly root teeth, and I don't know why I picture that, but that's what I picture.
That's perfect. Oh, that's it. That now I can't unsee that, because that's like it's like, yeah, the legs almost like the root, and like, yeah, that makes, yes, that's it. Wow, what a good picture, mental picture on that. That's great.
Nope, I'm both jealous and really glad that you picked it, because like I would have been so freaking long-winded, but it would have said the same thing 100,000 times, and I feel like you put it in like this perfect little package, and so awesome job. And I can't think of anything you didn't touch on, so awesome job, and absolutely one of my top three. I'm going to say cryptid. One of my top three favorite cryptid, but I do agree it could absolutely be alien. Who knows? But awesome.
So you're in the cryptid camp.
I am.
I'm in the alien, and like I said, I could see both. That went right away. I could see why you would think cryptid, and like I said, and with that Native American folklore, the legends and everything. It's very. I can totally see the argument. Like I said, for me, the two things, and it was the being the bipedal, and again, but we know Bigfoot's bipedal. There's a lot of bipedal, and then the fact that it does look like it's wearing clothing, but again, that we've run across kind of cryptids that are like human in nature, that maybe had some sort of clothing. So yeah, I can totally see either argument for it.
Well, so it's funny, and again, I'm absolutely in the cryptid camp of it, but for the alien possibility side of it, it's most cryptids, if we think about it, they either look like a creature, a human, like a humanified, that a word? A humanified version of an animal, or like an amalgamation of just creatures. Mm-hmm. And the Fresno Nightcrawler, the Fresno alien, doesn't. It looks nothing like anything. It's not a rabbit and a squirrel, or a monkey and a dinosaur, or whatever. I don't know where the monkey and the dinosaur came from, but and I know part of it that makes me feel cryptid also kind of gives a creepier alien possibility aspect to it, though, is the fact that it's been here forever. It's just always been here. And how creepy is it to think that if that is alien, that it's always been here? Yeah, it's just been here before. It really gives, like, I got goosebumps again. It gives like an unsettling feel that if it is alien and not cryptid, like they've always been here, and that's a big theory. That's a big thought that a lot of people have, is they've always been here.
Yeah, that's pretty wild to think about when you say it like that too. It's pretty, it's yeah, that was a lot of fun. These were a lot of fun. And I had never heard of it until doing my research. Neither of those. So the cryptid as well. So it's California was a fun state.
It really, really was. It was so many things to choose from, but no, it was. I like that this is going to be one of our last episodes, because it was so much. It was so much fun. Not that every state we do isn't fun in its own way, but it is. I mean, we got 2 episodes left after this of this season, and it's so. Yeah, it was so much fun. I'm so glad this made the first season.
Yes, me too.
All right, you got anything else today?
No, I think that's it.
All right, folks, thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in next time when we set up camp in Oklahoma. Until then, happy camping, and thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.